Welcome to Black Hollywood Live Conversations. We have the man, the myth, the legend, the director extraordinaire of Boys in the Hood, Higher Learning, and so much more. John Singleton is sitting down with us.
You are tuned in to Black Hollywood Live Conversations.
Baby, I'm just trying to change the game.
Remember this song? I'm sure you do. This is the cut right here. Welcome. My name is TK Trinidad. I will be your host today for Conversations, but it's not about me. It's about the legend right here, John Singleton.
What's up, TK?
How you doing?
How you doing?
Look at me like that.
Huh?
What's going on?
I'm just happy to be here with you.
I am beyond happy that you're here. I campaigned for this.
Okay.
I would have slashed some throats to get this. So
Thank you.
Just to let you know.
Thank you.
So let's just start it off. So Boys in the Hood, iconic film. In 2002, the United States Library Congress deemed Boys in the Hood culturally significant and selected it to be preserved in the Natural Film Registry. That was 26 years ago. Now, based off of everything that has been going on with police brutality and everything else, do you think the movie is current and relevant for today?
Yeah, the movie's been relevant for a very long time. I mean, it could have been made tomorrow, you know what I mean, or yesterday. There's a lot of things, I mean, not just topical that are going on, but just the nature and the culture and the vibe of it and stuff, is still what's happening now.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of topics throughout all your films. You touch on reverse racism in Higher Learning, affirmative action, police brutality, gun control, suicide. Was that something, because I was, a little bit younger that time, I didn't see, all the stuff that was going on at that time. Was that something that you were dealing with or seeing that was happening in those days, and has it improved? Or
I mean, I think when I do these movies, I'm not thinking about like specifically attacking a topic or something. It's just like I look at it's like making a record or making a song. Like I'm a musician, but I'm making a movie. I'm vibing on what's going on out there. You know what I mean? Like like what's happening out there that's interesting, that is concerning me, that is hurting my heart or making me feel some type of way.
Right.
So then I want to have characters go through a story that has, some reality to it. Like, I mean, whenever we're making a movie, it ceases to become reality. It becomes something we make up anyway, right?
Right.
But I'm like, I try to make what I call hyper reality. Films that have characters that are very, very embedded in real life situations. Mm-hmm. But the reality that they're living to is kind of hyped up a little bit for the story that I'm trying to tell.
Now, you said you based Boys in the Hood on your life.
Yeah, just aspects of my life. Really, the aspect of me going from living with my mother and me acting out as, going into puberty, and her being like, listen, I'm not handling you right now. I'm going to send your ass to your father. So, and that changed my life.
Right.
And so, that was the crux of me writing that film.
Yeah.
And directing it.
I think we all have like defining moments where we can kind of look back and it's like, if I did this, then I would be in a totally different direction.
Yes, exactly. But, but we all look back and say, wow, okay, I'm happy that you came out the other end decent-wise, because some people go through one thing, changes their lives, and then it can make them go in a totally opposite direction that, they never recover from.
Right.
But when you go through something that is life-changing and then you come out on the other end successful, then you feel really more, you feel powerful coming out of it.
So here's my question, because this is what I think about a lot, especially when you get attached to characters in books or movies. Where do you think Trey would be right now?
I don't know. He'd probably be a lawyer somewhere or whatever, fighting for Black Lives Matter, I'd hope.
And what about Jody from Baby Boy?
Jody and Yvette probably be on their like fifth baby. right now.
And then
still fighting and fucking at the same time.
Oh boy. You did ask before we started, is this
Is internet? Is this internet? I can curse.
Can I say whatever I want?
I can say what I want.
Say whatever
internet.
you like.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
We ain't on the broadcast. No FCC regulations.
And then what about Malik from Higher Learning? Where do you think he would be?
Malik from Higher Learning? I don't know. Wow, you asked me kind of like odd questions. Like I never thought about that. But when I make a movie, the characters in the movie, I know that like in the movies, most Hollywood movies,
right?
They end the movie and it's like self-contained. It's like, okay, that's like, that was that story, and then they have a ending that's kind of like definitive,
right?
But I was in the movie with something that you always feel like these characters have a life of their own. So it's ironic that you're asking me questions about my characters, because I'm always ending it like in the Boys in the Hood, the father and son, like Furious is mad at Trey because he thinks that everything he's taught him he's gone against. He thinks he's gone out and killed another black man, right? But he hasn't. He's actually done what his father told him to do, right? To think before he acts. Mm-hmm. But they don't have that conversation in the movie. But the audience knows that Trey is a man of merit. Mm-hmm. But the father thinks he's failed.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And, I remember when we did that, the studio was like, oh, we'll give you extra money if you have this one scene where they just sit and talk about it. I said, no, that's not what it's about. It's about the audience feeling some type of way and knowing that the character has a life and done the right thing, but the father doesn't. So it's funny that you ask me those kind of questions, like, what will my character be doing, whatever. Because that's what I've always gone for. Characters, they live with you.
Right.
So...
well,
I don't really think about it afterwards,
I see what you're saying.
Because then I make 3 more movies with those characters, but I'm not a kind of guy that likes to revisit people. People come to me out straight like, you know what you need to do? You need to make a Boyz in the Hood too.
Yeah,
and I'd be like, God, like you're the 5th person that told me that today, for real.
I don't think that should go because it's such a classic, but you've done such a great job in all those films that, you just kind of wonder, everybody's bound to make mistakes, but are the mistakes going to be big or small or life-changing, and where they will be? So you did a wonderful job that way.
I know. The only movie I wanted to make a sequel to is probably Four Brothers. We've been developing one for years. I don't know if it'll ever get made. Mark Wahlberg wants to do it.
And part of
we got to get it done though.
Part of it was shot in Toronto, wasn't it?
Yeah, part of it. Yeah, part of it was shot.
I was actually an extra.
You were? You were there?
In the basketball scene at the high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So definitely so many things. But I want to bring up this video. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, it's coming up right now.
Which screen?
Right here.
Okay.
All right. Let's go.
Come on now. You really into that. You know what? I won that race the first take. That's the second take that we did. Because the first time we did it, I won, and Pac said, let's do it again. And then that one, he won. Why are you playing that?
Is that what fun. That's what you're sticking to?
No, that's true. I don't have no reason to lie. The first time we did it, I won. And the second time we did it, it was for Rap City, for BT, back in the day. But it was good. It was having fun. We was just messing around like we used to.
So do you think you can race today? Like, say if I had my running shoes on and we can...
I don't know. You got, your legs. I don't know about your legs in terms of my legs.
I'm just saying, it might be a good little... Might consider it.
Well, we'll get outside in the studio.
All right, we'll have a little shot.
Get down.
Now, speaking of Tupac, there was a point in time where you were in the mix of making the Tupac film, which is going to be coming out in 2017. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned on Instagram how reasons why you chose not to make the movie.
Yes.
So and you said that you're going to have a movie that's even better than the one that's going to come out.
Yeah.
So where's the plans for that? When
the time is right, I'll make the movie. That movie needs to come out, and they need to show how well they performed as filmmakers, and in terms of respect for the legacy of Tupac Amaru Shakur, they need to show how well they did, and then I'll take it from there.
So
not.
So are you going to are you going to see the movie, or are you just going to?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I can't watch the movie.
Okay. So eventually, that's a bigger, better version is definitely going to come out.
Yes, exactly.
So now you've worked with a lot of people. So is there anybody that you want to work with that you haven't worked with just yet?
No, not really. I mean, there's nobody, because I've had pretty much everybody I work with the exception of Sam Jackson and Mark Wahlberg, have been kind of like known, but unknown talent. Mm-hmm. Like I'm the person that like takes unknown talent and brings them to the fore and makes them movie stars. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of enjoy that because, unknown talent, they're happy just to really be in whatever they're doing. They'll bust their ass. They'll take off their clothes. They do whatever you want to do, like in the service of art, because they're just free in their minds of what me as a director wants to do. You know what I mean? As a storyteller. So I kind of like that of working with like new people, and the actors that are established that do that. I will, I love for them to, when they work with me, to be a free of mind too. Every people. I always tell people when they get in this business, only work with people that you trust. Don't work with people that you don't trust, because people that you don't trust, they don't have their best interests in heart, and they'll tell you whatever they want,
right,
and use you up and make you do things that that you'll be embarrassed in. But I've never done that with anybody. You know what I mean? Everyone who's worked with me has kind of gone on to ascension to other things. So I want to really keep that.
And then you've also, in a lot of your films, you've reused a lot of characters, a lot of people in your movies. But what I've noticed is, how sometimes an actor who doesn't do a well job, you see that same character in another movie, even though they're supposed to be playing another character. What I've noticed in your movies that, for instance, Doughboy compared to Fudge, like two different people, but yet, and saying it's just such a, I don't know if that's more of a, speaks on their acting ability, but also the director, or how do you?
I don't know, just different people that I like to work with, and then we just say, okay, we're gonna go play, and you'll play this kind of character. You'll be different here,
And then, as far as the movie industry from when you started to now, has there been differences as far as dealing with people, getting movies made?
It's much more difficult to get films made than it was 20 some odd years ago when I was starting in my 20s. So the movies that are made now mostly are comic book movies or certain types of fantasy films.
Right.
In terms of like making like something that is going to have some cultural resonance in it, that deals with something that is dicey material.
Right.
But then something comes out like that really is edgy at the right time and people go to it, like like the movie Get Out. It's like one of the best movies of the year.
Yep.
But on the surface of that, people wouldn't necessarily, the studio was probably like, wait a minute, are you sure? And then they said, okay, well, do it, and they saw it and it's like, wow. You know what I mean?
It was definitely a good movie, so I'm assuming you saw it as well.
Of course, yes.
Definitely a good movie. So as far, you said there are differences, is it more like financial wise or?
No, I think it's more content wise. I mean, the nature, whenever a film gets made, they're always figuring out 6 Fridays from Sundays how they're going to make an investment back, but also make remunerative returns on it through multiple platforms. So they don't necessarily know how to codify that when it comes to certain types of films.
And then last year we had the whole Oscars Oh So White, or Oscars So White last year, and this year we had films that were more diverse. Now, do you think it was because of?
No, because that was the year and a half that went from 2 years ago to now. Just there were some good movies really made that deserve to be honored, And the year that they're complaining Oh So White, it was a lot of movies that didn't deserve to be honored.
Right.
It's like, that was bullshit to me. You know what I mean? Like, there's a couple movies that came and it's like people complaining, oh, I didn't get nominated for an Oscar. Really? You didn't get nominated for an Oscar? You know what I mean? Like, the dude on the street, asking for some money for some crack, he didn't get nominated for an Oscar either. You know what I mean? Like, so.
This is what I had noticed over a time period. There was kind of like, for instance, that whole, I don't know if it was like the late 90s where there was just a lot of black movies that were coming up that, you know, I grew up with, that my parents showed me, and then it just seemed to be, you know, not so many, and then, you know, it goes up, it kind of ebbs and flows. Is that kind of just more of production companies are putting money into it, or just the writing, or?
No, I just think that was just the cyclical nature of the business. I mean, you can't call it, you know, who knows? I mean, you have a lot of people of color on film and TV right now. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I've always felt that black culture is pop culture. I mean, whatever it is in music or fashion or anything that is artistically based usually comes through the black community first.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even language, the way we bend the English language to our own devices and, mm-hmm. and make up different things. You know, we make up different words and stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know,
that get added into Webster Dictionary.
And they get, and then they get added into Webster Dictionary, and then they get added in lingo and stuff, right? You know, I mean, you know, the term "make it rain" went from the strip club to like to Jimmy Fallon. You know what I'm saying? To like whoever, you know.
And that's a good point. What do you think about that? When I don't necessarily have an issue with that as far as people
I have no
take
issue with it,
but it's just more of
I have
people
no
not
issue
knowing
with it.
Where it comes from.
I have no issue. Just people acknowledge that, you know, we make up the shit.
Right.
Like, okay, like, you know, like, and then people gets appropriated in mainstream culture, and then it's square at that point, and mm-hmm. then we make up some other stuff.
Right.
You know.
But what about them not acknowledging, like, for instance, boxer braids?
Huh?
Like, people not acknowledging where it came from. So, for instance, cornrows have been a staple in the black community for a long period of time, and now all of a sudden, a Kardashian starts wearing boxer braids, and that's the newest thing. Oh. But it's been there forever.
But that's just like when Bo Derek came out in the movie 10 in 1979 by the great comedic director Blake Edwards, and mm-hmm. she wore braids, right? You know, and it was like, oh my God, she wore these beautiful like braids, which were from Africa and
right.
from Egypt before that. You know, Cleopatra wore braids like that with the beads and stuff, right? But, you know, in pop culture, Cicely Tyson did it, you know, in the late 60s. Mm-hmm. You know, but I have no problem with that, because I feel like, you know, that anything that is worth enjoying, you know, culture-wise and everything should be propagated amongst a lot of different people. And I have no problem actually with, okay, you got to give that to the black people, because it's like, it just is what it is, you know?
I like that. Now, you mentioned that a lot of actors are now on the big screen and the small screen, and on your IG, you said the future is now in television, and you have 2 shows that are going to be coming out this year. Uh-huh. What do you think has happened where now, you know, everybody was always talking about movies, but now, you know, you have Netflix, you have Hulu, you have Amazon, you have YouTube, you have all these, you know, places where you can create content, and now the big stars that we see in movies are now doing television. What do you make of that shift?
It's great. It's good. There's a lot more stories being told, a diverse mixture of stories being told on multiple levels and multiple platforms. And I look at it as like there's just more mini movies that are being made. I mean, when I do television, my whole goal is to do what I've done in features, where, you know, you're not just watching one of my shows, like, and then you like don't watch it again. Right. Like, you know, like when Baby Boy comes on certain things, people just watch it over and over again, and they see something new out of it, mm-hmm. or they're watching one of my movies and stuff, and they watch over. I want that for me in television. That's my brand. My brand is to like do the kind of shows that people watch and be like, I cannot believe I'm watching this shit on TV. Oh my God, they did this. They let this go on TV. Like, wow, roll that back. Roll that back. And then they come back next week, and then next week on they buy it, they order it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because they see something in it. That's what I want for television. I don't make what's known as like programming. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I make seminal statements. You know, even with the long arc of the season, but also with every episode, there's something in there like that's in there that people will be like, oh man, you know. And that's what we have. I'm always doing with the writers, or when we're shooting it or whatever. It's got to be something that just like gets people charged and like hot, like, you know. I mean, Game of Thrones is like that, right? Right. So like, there's nobody you know, of color doing that. Black just be like, but you just watch. Nine times out of 10, people are just happy to see a reflection of themselves on TV. They're like, oh wow, okay, they just watch, and they're looking at the television, because a lot of people look at television and they just blank out.
Yep.
And they look at it like music, so they're not really engaged with the story. They're just happy to see a reflection of themselves. That's why people for many years went to movies. That the movies were halfway adequate, but they tolerated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever it was. I never expounded that. I've always said, like, you know, if you make something really, really good and it has something that galvanizes whatever audience, even the core audience, core black audience, everybody's going to run to it because there's something different about that thing. There's something different there, you know? Yeah,
I actually covered the quad, and what I noticed, especially with BET, and I also covered the new edition that came out, the writing, the directing, the shows that are coming out on BET now are so, the stories are great, the visuals are amazing, and it's something totally different than, you know, BET has had before, which leads me into your show that's coming out. Rebel. I saw the commercial for this a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, ooh. Some people are going to have problems with this. Have you had any
problems? What do you mean? Problems? What do you mean?
Problems,
Why?
Not
because
my
black woman
problems.
got jugged? Because a black woman walking on the street and pumps and a gun?
Pumps and a gun and a fro.
Pumps and a gun and a fro. So
yes.
What's wrong with that?
So have you received any backlash?
No, ain't no backlash about that.
Okay.
Because every black woman that's looking at that trailer and everything is like, that's me. That's how I feel right now. Even though they don't have that, be like, I want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I want to go bust on some terrorists. You know what I'm saying? Like that. They're living vicariously through that. And so that my whole thing is like, we gonna do what nobody else is gonna do. So people will, just like you go to the movie theater and you're watching something good on TV, you want to talk at the screen. Right. Well, you're going to be home talking at the screen like, look at this bitch. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Let me see. Did she say that? Did she do that? Oh, my God. Wait, hold on.
You sound just like, that's why I don't go to movie theaters, because I talk at the movie theater.
I talk to the screen. I talk, when I'm on the set directing, I'm like a thick black chick sitting up there eating some popcorn with, you know, people eat popcorn with hot sauce on it.
Oh, my God.
You know who does that? Janet Jackson does that.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't eat popcorn with hot sauce on it, but I'm just making a metaphor. So I just sit up and I'm making the actors do what I think that the audience is gonna respond to and get loud on, right? And then we edit it together, and we're in the editing room, and I'm trying to get that moment, and I know, you know what I mean?
You got my attention.
I got your attention?
Yeah, because I think I'm an assassin I like going to the gun range. Like, that's...
Damn, she's dangerous.
Yeah, she's speaking to me.
I don't want to date you. Piss you off.
Yeah, don't want to do that. So she's definitely, you know, speaks to me, but it's just that, you know, people are afraid of me because of my stature, and, you know, I have to soften it a little bit for some folks, but it's just kind of like... I don't think black people have an issue for that. I just think everybody else, if there's any issue, you know.
We're trying to do what's not being done. So we got to go balls out. There's no softening this around. And I don't do that in my movies anyway. So I don't think I should have to do that in television. I mean, the good stuff on television that's being made cross-culturally, whether or not it's funny or dramatic or action-wise, is going balls out. You know, when I had an opportunity to work on Ryan Murphy's People vs. O.J. Simpson, they were like, go balls out, right? They wrote it. It was so well written. I didn't hardly have to do anything, but we'll just work with the actors. And you're watching that show, and you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe. And so that was a great kind of tutelage for me, you know. And even before that, like when I directed on Empire, you know, like I was like, okay, we're going balls out. You know, we're gonna like put some stuff in here because you know it was the first season before starting. Like that's what I want to do with everything I do within the television space. And so with Rebel, it was all about really having a character who is, yes, she is very, very strong, but she's humorous, she's funny, she's very, very vulnerable. You know, she has, you know, fits of depression. You know, she has fits when she's really, really up. You know, she's not one note.
She's human.
She's human. You know what I mean? She's not just a chick that's just like got it all together.
Right. She's not playing a stereotype.
Exactly. And you know, like, and I think that the other form of stereotype is that sister that just got it all going on and doesn't have any problems at all. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? you know, and I think that we want to really have somebody that people can live vicariously through every week, that they're just like, wow, like this is somebody that's close to their heart, like they're watching their friend girl on TV.
Mm-hmm. So,
you know, cross culturally, like not just the sisters, like everybody, but like, you know, like, whoa, okay, I get her, I get her.
Now I haven't gotten, I'm not the big dog to have seen the show just yet. However, based off of the commercials and everything like that, do you think that that's what the community needs right now? A rebel type person to?
I think they need, you know, we need a dozen rebels, 100 rebels, 1,000 rebels. We need people that really, you know, can come to action, you know, and not to be so passive about everything that's been thrown to us. You know, I think that we're at a time where a lot of people are afraid, but why are you afraid? Like, it, you know, things, you know, things are like, you know, only gonna get better if we fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? We gotta continue to fight against in any type of repression.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing that I like about your movies. It's not only because you kind of you have the enjoyment and the action and, you know, everything, the rawness of it, but then you also insert like tidbits of, you know, kind of like the revolution will not be televised type thing.
Yeah,
so,
I'm a revolutionary, baby. I was born in '68, so, and raised on Gil Scott-Heron and, you know, and
yeah,
you know, protest music and everything and stuff. And
that's how I grew up. My dad, you know, I grew up as a kid, you know, even before I turned double digits, reading Iceberg Slim.
Oh, well, yeah.
So it's just kind of like I was surrounded with that.
Iceberg Slim.
Yeah, Iceberg Slim.
You hardcore.
that was my dad. And
Donald
that's funny.
Goins.
It's funny. I watched your movies now. I watched them back, and I was like, I can't believe my parents let me watch it because it was so graphic for somebody that how young I was at the time, and now I watch it back and I see all the things that I missed now that, you know, I'm an adult.
So I'm responsible for damaging you as a child. Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. You are responsible. The reason, like I told you, I went to school because of you.
Okay,
higher learning.
Thank you.
Miss Deja, she got me on point. I ran away from home, got my scholarship to University of Oregon because of that.
That's
movie.
good. That's great.
So
that's beautiful.
I tip my cap to you.
Well, thank you.
So you have another show that's coming out, Snowfall, which is going to be coming out on FX.
Yes.
So it's about the crack cocaine epidemic in Los Angeles in 1983.
What's really about, it's about cocaine that transitions into crack.
Okay.
It's like, you know, because crack became chic because cocaine was a drug that you couldn't really get unless you had money. Mm-hmm. And so there was a moment in time where there was a proliferation of cocaine that came into California. You know, everybody knows the Scarface story, you know, the Narcos thing, right? But they don't know the whole thing about how the cocaine pipeline was opened up into California. So it's like, they look at crack as like a really good piece of meat, like filet mignon, and then all of a sudden it's like McDonald's. And like people can cut it up and do whatever and they rock it up with something else, and people could smoke it, and it changed everything. It changed the social landscape. It changed the laws in the United States. It changed pop culture. It changed my life and changed the lives of my friends and everything in South Central Los Angeles. You know, but I've always wanted to see that story because we always hear about, you know, Miami and New York and what was going on then, but you know, and I wanted to really show how LA really was then. And it's, you know, it's South Central, East LA, and the San Fernando Valley. Okay. I mean, my lead character learns how to sell cocaine, not crack, cocaine. He learns the drug game from an Israeli guy. Wow. You know what I mean? So it's like really a kind of a multi-ethnic, you know, mix of people who are all in this drug business in different ways, and their kind of lives and their social thing and stuff, right? And how everybody in this is going to get destroyed from their just involvement in it. Pretty much, yeah, because you look at any other like shows, they either talk about the effect of it on the community or the aftermath of it, but they don't really talk about how it happened here. And it's crazy because, you know, as damaging as it was a fun, sexy time. And so that's what we're showing really on this show. Like, you know, like, it's, you know, it's, I remember I could just make it like, you know, how it was in the 90s and stuff when I first started out in the film business, and we would go to a party and be like, well, you know, somebody somebody probably gonna get shot tonight, right? I said, yeah. It says, but we going to that party anyway, right? Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Wow.
It's like that. It's like, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's a trip. When you're young, you don't give a fuck. You're like, okay, fine. I'm just gonna get my groove on anyway. Something gonna happen tonight, but it ain't gonna be me, right? That's what it is. That's what the whole game is.
Wow. Totally different. Wow, I can't even, you just stumped me on that one. As far as projects are concerned, how do you pick your projects, like either the movie projects or TV projects?
I pick what I'm passionate about, what I want to spend time in, what I want to spend months and years of my time in, that I feel like emotionally attached to. I don't do things just because, okay, I'm going to get a check and this, whatever. It doesn't sustain me. What sustains me is doing stuff is like, okay, this would be fun to do. And I'm going to stick with this because whatever I do, I'm living it. I'm living it almost 20 hours a day if I'm doing it.
Now, as far as, do you have any projects, like writing-wise, that you're kind of working on that you can tell us about?
No.
I tried.
Now. It's a secret. I'd have to choke you.
What? I can for 20 seconds I can work it out.
Okay.
Now, if you weren't writing and directing, what do you think you would be doing?
I don't know. Well, robbing banks.
Robbing banks?
Yeah.
Could be like a Bonnie and Clyde. Like I can shoot
I always
people.
wanted to be
and
a
you could
bank
rob
robber. I always threatened to say if I didn't fulfill my dream of being a filmmaker, I would have made a good bank robber.
Even in today's society, with all the technology and the cameras and the, I don't really hear it.
There's still people robbing banks. Even when I was checking out, there's people getting away with robbing banks.
Okay.
And people doing it in a way in which you never knew that they actually robbed banks. We got a president that robbed banks. He robbed a whole lot of banks. Let's just be real about it. You know what I'm saying? That's all subjective. It's
Right.
not just about walking in a damn bank with a gun and say, "Give me that damn money."
Oh,
There's a whole lot
okay.
of people that are, you know.
So you mean like the IT swing of things, and
I'm just saying, whatever.
I can hear the music playing as you're like tapping away, and then you're off on your boat somewhere in Africa.
The Seychelles Islands.
Now,
Thomas Crown Affair.
now, there have been a lot of. I know my mom has talked about this a lot. As far as there have been a lot of slave narratives that have like happened throughout the years. Do you think that's a story that we should still tell on top of everything else? Or do you
Yes,
think
I think we need to have at least 2 or 3 slave movies every year.
2 or 3.
Yeah, because I think that generation needs to understand that, you know, that's why I'm happy that we have the show Underground as well, because from where we are now to where we've gone, I think this generation, the last 2 generations of black people are too damn passive about the gains that we've had, and so that they're not really trying to get even further.
Right.
I mean, it's like people celebrate ignorance. Nah, I don't read. You know, motherfucker, people died to be able to read,
And
for you to be
vote.
able to, well, yeah, to vote, but also to count money. There's a time when you go to a store and somebody you give them something costs 15 cents and you give them 25 cents and they give you a nickel back, and you knew you were owed a nickel, but you have to ask yourself, do I ask for that nickel and risk my life, or do I let it go and be exploited?
Right.
And that's why, you know, like, that's what, like, I love it that, like, my mother, like, had to put herself through college, and she was going through school, and, like, the library became my babysitter. If I wasn't in the library when I was a kid, I don't know, I'd probably be in lockup, federal custody or whatever. I probably would have done a lot of stuff, been misguided, you know, whatever. Because where I'm from, a lot of people are taught to be time bombs, especially young black men. You're taught to be like, have like a I don't give a fuck attitude.
Yep.
Like, I'll chump you off, I'll chump anybody that just looks at me wrong, right? So it's like you're a human time bomb. So I'm saying that I was taught, not just by my mother, but my father, my extended family, like, and you say, like, I have this revolutionary guy. The people that I looked up to, they were smart. You couldn't mess with them mentally. You know what I mean? They had a physical prowess too. You know, you can put them hands, but it was a mental thing too. Yeah. So that come from that generation. So I'm trying to, like, make sure that people have a respect for that. Not for, you know, like, you know, not for just the whole aspect of celebrate ignorance. I've never celebrated dysfunction and ignorance in any of the films I've ever done or anything else. I celebrate like, of unity, of brother and sister, of black people, and then extend it to everyone else.
Right.
I've always done that, and so if anything, that's one of the things that I like to get out within my work.
Yeah, it seems like it's a celebration of the honesty of, what's happening at the moment and beyond that, versus a lot of people just take a situation and almost bastardize it, and then glorify that situation instead of saying this is what we could do beyond.
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So here's a question: what do you want to most be remembered for?
Me?
Other than robbing banks.
I didn't rob any banks.
Not yet.
I'm not gonna rob any banks. Just that I kept it real, man. I mean, I kept it real. That's what I'm all about. I didn't want to get into this business. I got into the business at an early age, like 22 years old, started making movies, right? And so it was good for me because I really, really took it at heart, as thought of myself as an artist. I didn't think of myself I didn't think of this as a business. I never thought, even with the money, I never thought about it like, okay, now I can say something. I can do some different things. I can watch everything that's done, and then I can go the other way and do something different.
Right.
I can have a different narrative to how I'm trying to create things. And so my whole thing is just to keep that going on, and then really, really do it for fun and have enjoyment in it. You know what I mean? And that's what I always try to hold on to.
And then what's your advice for young people wanting to get into the industry?
Learn how to make your own stuff, because nobody's gonna call you. Don't wait for that phone call. Just do it on your own,
Okay. All right. So last part, I have some rapid fire questions.
Okay. As if the other ones weren't.
So I'm gonna I'm gonna ask a question. You just say the first thing that comes to your mind. Got the music playing. Thank you. All right.
Oh boy.
Last movie you saw?
Get Out.
Always early or always late?
Always early.
Last person you text?
Last person I text? Damn, what was the last person I text? It's funny. The irony was Morris Chestnut, because I just saw him on the beach just now.
Oh wow. Okay. Hi Morris. Last show you binge watched?
Last show I binge watched was Narcos.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. If you were on death row, what would be your last meal?
My last meal on death row? Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. I hope I don't be on death row.
If you were a crayon, what color would you be?
If I was a crayon, I would be burnt orange.
Okay. And one word that describes you.
Me? One word that describes me. Fierce.
Fierce. Okay. And then what's your favorite film or show that you've made?
I don't have a favorite film or show. Okay. I can't. They're like my children. Yeah, my kids.
All right. Favorite Walter Mosley book?
Oh, that's a good one. He's a friend of mine. My favorite Walter Mosley book is Cinnamon Kiss, actually.
Okay. Favorite Tupac song?
My favorite Tupac song is hey, look at you. That's hard to be there. Damn, you really stumped me with that because there's so many different ones. Keep Your Head Up.
And favorite Spike Lee film?
Do the Right Thing.
There you have it, Mr. John Singleton.
You ask everybody those questions. That's your thing, like rapid fire question thing.
Yeah, when I make it to Oprah status, that will be mine.
Okay, all right.
Did I? Were they good questions?
Yeah, it was good. Good questions. Yeah, it was good.
Well, thank you so much. You understand this for sitting down with me. Really appreciate it.
It was good. It was good stuff.
We found out a lot more things about you, so.
Yeah, I know. I said some shit I never told nobody before.
Yes.
On the internet. Wow.
Well, thank you for sitting down with me. Black Hollywood Live Conversations, where Hollywood is redefined. We'll catch you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me @KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.